welcome back. My name's Jason. I'm a 22-year-old management consultant working and living in London. I don't actually start my consulting job until April, so in the past few months there's been a lot of friends and friends of friends asking me for career advice. So I thought this video might be helpful for you who's looking for a job out of university, and maybe in particular a job in finance or management consulting. And today's hopefully going to be a productive and fun day. I'm going to start by filling up some documentations for my job, and afterwards I'll be going to a cafe and I'll tell you more about how I landed my consulting job right out of university then. Walking to grab coffee now, and I thought it'd be a good time to just start with like a bit of my background. So I'm from Hong Kong. I went to uni at Durham University in the UK, but I actually didn't do an economics or finance degree. I actually studied law. I'll probably make another video about why I went from law to management consulting. That's for another time. Before the end of first year, I had no idea what management consulting was. I've never heard of management consulting, never heard of investment banking, and to me a lawyer was just like the people in the court wearing like a white wig.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, so I really wanted to film this segment outside, and all of a sudden it just started snowing. I mean, like literal snow is falling onto my head. But anyway, I thought, why not? This is the perfect example of how chaotic it can be to break into management consulting or just finding any job after university. So talking about my first year of uni, right? After my first year of uni, I still had no idea what I wanted to go into. But I thought, in order to find some idea, right, I needed to go and do stuff. So I was looking for internships. But as a first year university student, it was extremely hard to find any sort of internships, especially in a field like law. Law is so hard to break into as a first year because they basically only offer internships for penultimate, which means second year students. So I was this first year student who's like trying to find any way to find some kind of work experiences. I kept asking people, everyone I knew, and my parents weren't some like big bank CEOs or partners in a law firm or whatever, but my mom's a yoga teacher, and it just so happens that one of her yoga friends is a retired barrister, so a retired lawyer, who knows people who are willing to take on students, young students, to work with them. And that's what I did. I did an internship in a local small law firm in Hong Kong. The weather's actually like getting really good now. The sky's beautiful on that side. Can you see? Okay, let's continue on this side. Lighting is not too good on that side. But basically, after that internship, I realized that I just really didn't like doing law, right? I wanted to do something else. So I started looking around, and I eventually came across management consulting through just like sheer Googling, looking up online, watching YouTube videos like these. I came up with management consulting, and I thought, hey, this sounds good. Might be something I want to go into. And the first thing I did after that was to look for relevant work experiences. And as I said, right, internships are so hard to find, but you know what isn't that hard to find? Student societies and student organization related work experiences. So I joined the consulting societies in my university, and they had these pro bono, like these free work that they do with different charities. And that's basically my first days of consulting. And I thought this was really interesting, and I started applying for consulting internships after my second year of university. I sent out probably 40 to 50 tailored, personalized application to consulting firms, and I only had one interview. And that one interview was with McKinsey. Now, if you're familiar with consulting, you know McKinsey is like the most popular, probably the biggest brand name in consulting. Spoiler alert, I also did not get through that interview. I think it was too early for me. I wasn't prepared enough. Near the end of the recruitment cycle following that interview, I had no more interviews left, and I had no hopes of getting into a consulting internship or any internship for that matter. At this moment, what I did was I reached out to my network again. I looked at people who went to Durham, people I saw in Durham, people who graduated from Durham whom I met in my first year. And it turns out that this one guy who I met in first year was actually starting his own startup in London. I basically just sent him a text asking him, hey, what you're doing seems very interesting. Is there any way I can work with you this summer? Because his startup was still very early stage at the time. It was like 6 months old. After a initial call, right, he just took me on board. And that's how I spent my second year summer. And that's how I was going into my final year of law school. I doubled down on my student societies. I applied for executive positions. I was vice president in one consulting society. I had a great time working with a startup in the summer, but I still knew that I wanted to go into consulting. And with the McKinsey interview on my belt, I know that I'm good enough to get through the CV screening stage to get into the interview room. And so for the end of that year, in my recruitment cycle, applying for full-time roles in consulting firms, I only applied to about 15 to 20 consulting firms, but I made sure that I wrote very personalized cover letters. I networked with people within the firm. I would cold message people on LinkedIn who's working in that firm and ask them if they can jump on a call with me. I would go out to coffee chats, and I would come to London, meet up with people whom I know back in my Durham Consulting Society, who's actually now working in the consulting industry. Ask them if they want to grab coffee and ask them if anything was on. And funny enough, just by doing that, just by reaching out to people who I already know who's graduated, I was able to land 2 referrals to 2 different consulting firms. Even more funny was that I did not actually get a single interview from those 2 firms. They rejected me even though I had 2 referrals. And at this point I was very down. I was very nervous. McKinsey rejected me again. At this point I was doing a few first round interviews with a few big consulting firms. And around December time I had my first final round interview. Now, keeping in mind that I've been preparing for consulting interviews and doing consulting work for a year now, I went into that final interview quite confident because I knew I had the ability and I had the right motivation and right fit for this industry. I went in there, I did the interview, they really liked me, and they gave me the offer on the spot. Now that's basically how I broke into management consulting as a law student with no corporate internship work experience whatsoever. The sun is literally out right now. If this is not the perfect sign that everything will be fine, everything will be alright at the end of the day, I don't know what is. I just want to summarize and wrap up and put it into a few practical, actionable points that you can take home with you. First of all is to definitely utilize your network, right? Using a network is not something that you can only do if your dad works for Goldman Sachs or if your dad is a law firm partner. You never know what kind of people you can come across if you just ask, right? I never would have expected my mom, a yoga teacher, through her network was able to land me an internship at a law firm. And similarly, I never knew that just by meeting people in university, just by reconnecting with them after they've graduated from school would lend me referrals to consulting firms. And that's the power of network. And second thing I think you definitely need to do is to utilize different student organizations. The pro bono consulting experiences I had in university definitely made it clear that I was into consulting, but also gave me some first-hand experiences that I can talk about in my interviews. And finally, it's just to never stop applying. And the first time of applying for consulting internships, I only got 1 interview out of the 40, 50 I applied to, and I had no offers. And the second time around, when I was applying for full-time roles, I got a bit lucky, right? I landed my job offer in my first final round interview. That's also after just hustling through networking, talking to so many people, doing so many case interviews, and that really builds up to the moment that I landed my offer. So that's basically how I ended up in management consulting. Like I said, I'll be starting my job in April, which is in 2 weeks. And so far in London, I'm loving it. I'm still working hard, I'm still hustling, I'm doing networking, I am meeting people here. I really want to be prepared for the job. I really want to get right into it and make sure I do the best work possible, make sure I grow as a person as much as possible. See how blue the sky is compared to how it was literally snowing just now, and get some inspiration from that. And with that being said, I'll see you in a bit. Bye bye.